The crystalline chamber of the Galactic Council hummed with an energy that transcended physics. Representatives from 47 civilizations sat in their designated pods, their forms ranging from gaseous clouds to crystalline matrices to beings of pure thought. At the center, the Archon Prime's holographic form flickered with barely contained fury. "This cannot stand," the Archon declared, its voice reverberating through every translator in the chamber. "The humans have violated Protocol 7. They have breached the Kardashev threshold without authorization." Celine stood at the human delegation's platform, her dark hair pulled back in a simple braid, her posture relaxed in a way that infuriated half the council. Beside her, Elias adjusted his datapad, his blue eyes scanning the room with clinical precision. Neither of them looked particularly concerned. "With respect, Archon Prime," Celine began, her voice calm and clear, "we didn't ask for authorization because we didn't need it. The protocols were established 12,000 years ago, before humanity even discovered fire. We weren't consulted then. We won't be bound now." A wave of shocked chittering, clicking, and psychic gasps rippled through the assembly. The Vrexian ambassador, a towering mantis-like creature, rose from its pod. "Arrogance," it hissed. "Every species must submit to the protocols. The Kardashev threshold exists to prevent catastrophe. You humans have barely left your cradle world and already you dare to—" "We've colonized 47 star systems in the past century," Elias interrupted, not looking up from his datapad. "We've established functional Dyson swarms around 6 stars. Our quantum communication network spans 1,200 light-years, and we did it all without asking permission from a council that didn't even know we existed until 60 years ago." The Archon Prime's form pulsed with crimson light. "You speak of achievements as if they were lawful. You have taken resources from restricted sectors. You have constructed megastructures in prohibited zones. You have—" "We've done what we needed to survive," Celine said, cutting through the Archon's tirade. "When we first made contact with the Council, we were told to wait, to develop slowly, to follow the approved technological progression paths. We were told that faster-than-light travel would be granted to us in 500 years. That stellar engineering would be available in 2,000 years. That artificial intelligence research was forbidden indefinitely." She stepped forward, her eyes meeting the Archon's holographic gaze without flinching. "We said no." The chamber erupted in chaos. The Zetherian delegation, beings of living metal, began broadcasting harsh electromagnetic pulses. The Kalari, telepathic entities, sent waves of disapproval that made every psychically sensitive being in the room wince. The Archon Prime raised a limb for silence, and slowly the chamber quieted. "You understand what you've done, human?" The Archon's voice was cold now, calculated. "You've declared yourselves outside the protection of the Council. You've made yourselves targets. There are species here who will not tolerate such defiance, species with weapons that could sterilize your homeworld in moments." Elias finally looked up from his datapad, a slight smile playing at the corners of his mouth. "They could try." The Vrexian ambassador lunged forward in its pod. "You dare? Your species has existed for what, a few 100,000 years? We have fought wars that lasted longer than your entire civilization. And you lost them," Celine said quietly. "We've reviewed your histories. All of you. The great Vrexian empire that once spanned 1,000 worlds reduced to 12. The Zetherian collective, masters of nanotechnology, barely recovering from the gray goo incident of your own making. The Quillari consciousness, split into 17 factions after your civil war." She gestured around the chamber. "Every species here was once greater than they are now. Every species here followed the protocols, submitted to the limitations, accepted the slow path. And every species here is stagnant. How long has it been since the Council saw real innovation? Real growth? Real progress? The protocols exist to prevent the mistakes we made." The Zetherian delegate boomed, its voice like grinding metal. "To prevent species from destroying themselves, or to prevent them from surpassing you," Elias said, his voice cutting through the noise. "We've run the analysis. The protocols don't protect developing species. They hamstring them. They ensure that by the time a new species reaches the stars, they're already bound by 1,000 regulations, already dependent on Council infrastructure, already controlled." The Archon Prime's form shifted to a deep purple. "You accuse the Council of conspiracy?" "We accuse the Council of fear," Celine replied. "Fear of change, fear of competition, fear of a species that might actually succeed where you all failed. Bold words, the Archon said, from a species that numbers barely 20 billion souls. 34 billion, actually, Elias corrected. 38 billion by next quarter, if the Mars colonies continue their current growth rate. And yes, we're young. Yes, we're aggressive. Yes, we break things when we don't understand them and then learn from the pieces. That's who we are. That's what we do. Celine stepped to the edge of the platform, addressing the entire council now. We didn't come here to ask permission. We came here to inform you. Humanity is claiming its place in the galaxy. Not as supplicants, not as children to be guided, but as equals. We will continue our expansion. We will continue our research. We will continue to push boundaries that you've been too afraid to approach for millennia. And if we decide to stop you, the Archon Prime's voice was a whisper that filled the chamber. If we decide that humanity is too dangerous to be allowed to continue unchecked? Elias and Celine exchanged a glance. When Celine spoke again, her voice was softer, but somehow that made it more powerful. Then you'll try, and you'll fail. Not because we're stronger, we're not yet. Not because we're smarter, many of you surpass us in specific fields. But because we're willing to risk everything for progress. Because we don't accept limitations that we didn't choose. Because when you tell us something is impossible, we hear a challenge, not a warning. She paused, letting her words sink in. The Council can watch. The Council can warn. The Council can disapprove. But the Council cannot stop us. We're already beyond your reach, not because we're far away, but because we're on a trajectory you abandoned long ago. You can join us in moving forward, or you can stay here in your perfect, safe, stagnant order. The choice is yours. The chamber was silent now. The Archon Prime's form had shifted through several colors, finally settling on a deep, thoughtful blue. This session is adjourned, it announced finally. The Council will deliberate. As the various delegations began to file out, Elias leaned toward Celine. Think they'll try to stop us? Celine watched the alien beings depart, saw the fear in some, curiosity in others, and in a few, something that might have been hope. They'll try, but we've already won. We've reminded them what it means to dream. Outside the station, a human ship hung in space, its hull decorated not with weapons or armor, but with a single phrase in 100 languages, per aspera ad astra, through hardships to the stars. The Council could only look on. Humanity was beyond reach, not through distance or power, but through an indomitable will that refused to be contained. And perhaps, watching from their ancient seats of power, some of them remembered when they too had possessed such fire.